And hello fellow ticket holders, and welcome to our last debriefing as part of our Japan travel series. If this is your first video, as I just said, we have a series of videos of us traveling Japan. I will leave a link to that playlist in the description box below if you want to follow along. But in this debriefing, we are going to cover everything about the Tokyo Disneyland Resort that we experienced and our thoughts on the Tokyo Disneyland Resort. Yep. So the first section we're going to talk about is tickets. So for us, as international guests, the best place to purchase tickets is on Klook. It is a third-party ticket / traveling service, and they sell tickets to Disney, Universal, and whatnot. And this is definitely the best place to get them. Very straightforward. You pick what park you want to go to, what day you want to go to, and it puts it into the cart. As such, Tokyo Disneyland does not have a multi-day ticket. You do have to purchase a one-day, one-park ticket, and you have to specify what day you want. And so to do that on Klook is very straightforward. And as a warning, please make sure you choose the correct date, because when I went to purchase our tickets, I accidentally chose the wrong date. And luckily I double, triple, quadruple check everything before I purchased. And so, yes, just make sure you purchase it correctly.
Yeah, apparently it's happened a lot. We see a lot of YouTube videos and a few
people show up on the wrong day and realize they chose the wrong week or whatnot. So yeah, make sure you choose the right ticket. So if you happen to be a resort guest staying at a Tokyo Disneyland hotel, there are ticket purchasing perks. So you are guaranteed the ability to purchase a ticket at the hotel, and you do so at the concierge desk. They have like a travel concierge desk you can go to. I find that this is only good if you happen to be staying at the hotel the night before. That way you can actually go to the desk and purchase it, because I do not think you can purchase it at the Welcome Center where we started our journey at the Tokyo Disneyland Resort. So that is something to think about. If you happen to be staying and you didn't buy your tickets online ahead of time, you are guaranteed tickets as a hotel guest. As we're talking about tickets, it's kind of a ticket, but not really, but it's the best category to put it in. We're gonna talk about the Disney Premier Access and the 40th Anniversary Premier Pass. So these are their skip the line or fast pass type of tickets that they offer. These are purchased directly in the Tokyo Disneyland app, so do make sure that you have a phone that supports the app to purchase these tickets. So the Premier Access Pass is just like the US parks, kind of like Lightning Lane. So you're able to purchase an attraction for a specific time, and then you get to go do it. Now the biggest advantage over the US parks Lightning Lane is that you can purchase as many as you want. So if you would like to ride Journey to the Center of the Earth 5 times in the day, as long as tickets are available, you can keep purchasing those.
There's no limitations.
So the best thing that we found to use the Premier Access Pass for was actually parade viewing.
Yeah.
So when we saw both parades, the Halloween parade and the electrical parade at Disneyland Park, we purchased the tickets to do so, so that way we didn't have to wait all day or a couple hours to watch these. That gave us time to go do attractions in Disneyland. And what is great about these passes is that it's in a dedicated area right along the parade route, and everybody is given a little dot on the ground, and that's where you are sat. Now you don't get to choose where you get to seat. Luckily we got to be in the second row from the front, but what is nice is everybody sits on their little dot on the ground. So if you happen to get a spot that's 3, 4, 5 rows back, you will still be able to see. So it is definitely worth buying, to us, the priority pass for the parade viewing. Now when it comes to the show Believe over at Tokyo Disney Sea, we did cover this in our outro for that one. We did not find it to be a advantage, other than the fact you didn't have to wait for it, but you are situated to the side of this main part of the stage, so do take that in mind when looking at that show for the priority pass. So the one warning that I do have to give you about purchasing the Premier Pass is credit cards. So normally I like to use my MasterCard for this whole trip, and I had that ready to put into the app, but I found that the MasterCard was rejected by Disney. So I would give you the warning to make sure you have multiple payment options on hand that have no international transaction fees, so that you have the ability to pick one that might work for buying the Premier Pass. Now the other type of pass that they had during our visit was called the 40th Anniversary Premier Pass, and these are actually just like the old school fast passes at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland. They are free to grab. They are one attraction at a time, and you can grab as many as you can of those as long as there's attractions available.
Yeah.
Again, very similar to Fast Pass back in the day. We were able to grab a few for our visit, like for Raging Spirits over at Disney Sea, the Haunted Mansion over at Disneyland, and whatnot. So I don't know if this is an option that they offer all the time. Again, it was labeled as for the 40th anniversary.
Like
so,
a bonus.
Yeah. So be sure to check the app to see if they're giving out free passes during your visit. Okay, on to the second item, the actual theme parks themselves. So this would be Tokyo Disney Sea and Tokyo Disneyland. So we're gonna start in the order that we visited the parks, and that would be at Tokyo Disney Sea. Now we're not gonna cover this in detail because we did do a video on it, and we actually did an outro for that one and covered most of the items. But there are a few things that we missed, and we wanted to go ahead and cover them here. So the first thing I wanna cover, and this is a tip for both parks, is to make sure you show up early.
Very early.
If you saw in the video, I had a shot of us on the monorail going to Disney Sea. There was a sea of people waiting to get into the park. And if you don't happen to have happy entry, or they're not offering it during your stay as a hotel guest, and we'll get to what happy entry is here soon, then you're gonna have to wait with everybody at the front gates. And I believe people start showing up 2 hours, 3 hours in advance. Because when we were at breakfast at our hotel the next day, we saw the line starting to form at 6:30 in the morning.
People are serious about the Disney parks over there.
So again, make sure you show up early. Luckily, they are very efficient. You get quickly through security. They quickly scan your passes. They were definitely more efficient than Universal down in Osaka. So it didn't take that long. But when you're talking about masses of people trying to enter the park, and then when you get in, you need to then be able to make your reservations for the Premier Pass or the Priority Pass or a dining reservation. You gotta get yourself in order, so the sooner you can get into the park, the better. So that's a tip, make sure you show up early. Now for Tokyo Disney Sea, the items that we missed, now we thought we had talked about it for Tower of Terror. We want to talk about how it kind of differs from the ones in the States. So the biggest one is the restraint system in the cars. So they have a 3-point harness across the body like in a car.
Like a car.
And they make sure that thing is tight on your body. And this is for every seat. It's not the end seats, because I believe in US parks it's the end seats. So if you're a person that happens to have wanted to always try one of the Tower of Terrors in the US parks, and you've always been afraid of the floating time or the fear of dropping, this definitely holds you in your seat.
Another difference is the theming. It is a completely different story. Amazing theming, just absolutely stunning. Joe Brody is in there. It is such a cool theming, and it's worth checking out.
So its theming is a little bit similar to the one in Walt Disney World for the Hollywood Tower Hotel, because again, this is a hotel itself. Completely different than Guardians of the Galaxy in California. It is definitely a cool storyline. The effect that they have in the pre-show with the stuff disappearing and whatnot is really neat. And then all the artifacts that they have in the secondary queue line is really cool. Very similar to like Indiana Jones type of thing out in California with all the artifacts and everything. So the second attraction that is a big attraction at this park that we didn't seem to talk about and somehow forgot was Sinbad's Storybook Adventure. As I noted in the video, this is like the #1 attraction for everybody, even though it's not for locals. They seem to not ride it as much. The line is never really there, which makes it good for everybody else.
So first of all, it's a boat ride, but it's the story of Sinbad. You don't have to know the language. You don't have to know Japanese. It shows you every little scene of his adventures that he goes on. And he has this cutest little sidekick, Shandu. He's a little baby tiger, and he pops up all over the attraction. And he is the cutest little thing.
Doing different things. Like just sleeping or jumping on the drum.
But it's such a heartfelt story, and the song is so catchy. It is really long.
It's longer than I expected.
It's super long, and he takes an adventure.
Now it is fully in Japanese, but like you said, it doesn't really matter.
Oh my gosh, and the animatronics are out of this world.
Especially the large giant one in the middle. Like you saw him throughout the beginning, and then halfway through you see the full-size scale one, and he is huge playing the violin.
It's a great ride to take a little rest from the day. It's air conditioned.
So definitely a must-do attraction in that park. So the last item in Disney Sea we never talked about was our thoughts on eating at Magellan. we chose to get this reservation the day of. So as soon as we got into the park, we made the reservation and was likely able to get it at a normal lunchtime.
Yeah, it wasn't even that hard to get.
Now we weren't able to get it while we were here at home.
Yeah, that's true.
All is sold out.
Yeah.
But day of, so what they do is on the day of, or I think at 9 a.m. or something like that, they will,
tickets,
they'll go ahead and just drop the rest of the reservations, and that was very simple to grab.
Super simple to grab.
Yep.
I had always wanted to eat here because I had seen a lot of videos from other people. It looked magical.
Super themed.
Super theme. It's pretty fancy. Very beautiful theme, but our tips.
Yeah, so it is a, as I noted in the video, is a 4-course prefix menu.
Yes.
They have either the seafood one, which is the Pacific menu, and then they have one that's more non-seafood, which is the Magellan. And then if they're doing a seasonal menu like we were for Halloween or the 40th anniversary, they had that. I think they do a summer one, they might do one for Christmas, but they usually have the two. It is a very expensive restaurant, so do know that, but obviously with a 4-course that you would expect.
Yeah, the food was really good. I enjoyed it.
But the tips that we would like to give is, if this is your first visit and you only have one day like we did, please make sure to consider that this is going to take a lot of your time. It took us at least 2 hours, to do the dining experience. And of course, if you're looking to maximize your time on attractions, 2 hours of your time could be at least 1, if not 2 attractions, or seeing characters or doing something like that.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a multi-day at the park,
for sure.
I would definitely say maybe on your second or your third day, if you happen to be going 3 days, put it in there. It's worth the relaxation time.
I definitely want one.
So we definitely suggest Magellan's. It was a thumbs up restaurant, but definitely make sure to think about it. That
priorities.
Prioritize what you want to do at Disney Sea. All right, that's everything for Disney Sea that we missed, and there might be some other things. So if you happen to watch our video of Disney Sea, go put a comment down there if you have a question about it, or put a comment here asking us about Disney Sea. But we're gonna move on to the next park, which is Tokyo Disneyland. Now, if you watch that video, we did not get an outro, and that was due to a whole slew of things, and we'll get to that when we get to our hotel section of this video. So, Tokyo Disneyland, because we were staying at the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel the night before, we got what was called Happy Entry. We're gonna go ahead and cover that now. What that allows you to do as a resort guest at the deluxe hotels is get into either Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea 15 minutes before the park opens, and it's your own dedicated entrance section. So it may look daunting when you walk out of the Disneyland Hotel, you see all these people down the sides, but down the middle, the entrance in the center is open specifically just for resort guests, and you kind of get in front of everybody.
Now, you think that 15 minutes might not be enough? It's pretty good.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes can get you pretty much the basics.
So for us, we use the time to book our premier access as well as our priority passes. We didn't make a dining reservation at this time, but again, would have gave you time to do so. And because you've scanned your ticket in for the day, you are in front of everybody that has not entered the park yet, so you're able to grab those priority and premier passes first. And that's what the advantage is. Now, if you're not looking to purchase, that gives you the advantage to get to your first attraction, do that must-do attraction right away. It worked out for us as well. We got to see the band real quick, and then we worked our way over to Tomorrowland and did Space Mountain with very little to no wait.
Yeah, because after we got off that ride, it was like 2 hours already.
And speaking of Space Mountain, we'll talk about that. I don't think it's our favorite version.
It's not our favorite version. It was just complete, for me, it was completely dark. Yep. It didn't get me as nauseous as Disneyland does now for some reason, but it was just so dark that you couldn't really enjoy it. Like, you had to brace yourself because you had no idea where you were going.
That's correct. And riding the two here in the States multiple times, you kind of know the layout of the track, plus there's star trails to guide you.
Some little star trails,
but not in there. Now, fortunately, this ride has now closed and is under refurbishment. So maybe with the refurbishment, they will have more lighting and stuff, which the US parks have also gone through those refurbishments in the last few years. So this one might be much better the next time we ride it. But yeah, it's worth it. Again, it's Space Mountain. Definitely the same as what you would expect. So So after we were done at Space Mountain, we did actually look around in Tomorrowland to see if we could do Baymax or could we do Monsters Inc. But as soon as we were done, those were already over a 2-hour wait. So that's why we went ahead and headed over to Fantasyland. And while we were over there, we went ahead and did It's a Small World because it didn't really have a wait at all.
No. And it is my new favorite Small World.
Yeah, we really enjoyed this one. It is very vibrant. It has all the characters, very similar to out in California's Disneyland, but they have more characters in theirs, and everything just seemed to be working. Everything was fluent. I don't know the last time this one had been in refurbishment. If it's recently done it, you can definitely tell.
Yeah, it was really cool. We even got to see the little presentation, the clock. We had
just showed up to see the 9:45.
So that was awesome to see. I never thought I would see that presentation there as well.
Now it is really weird to see the full facade like at Disneyland. It's neat to see it in the colored form and not just white.
Yeah.
But it is weird to then not see, like I mentioned, the water troughs that you walk into the building like in Florida.
Yeah.
So it's this weird mashup of the two types of attractions.
Yeah, yeah.
Now after we were done at It's a Small World, it was time for our Premier Access Pass to Enchanted Time with Belle to come available. So we headed over there next. As mentioned in the video, and if you do follow anything Disney related, you would know people say this is the best attraction that Disney has ever created.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I don't know if we went in with high expectations or whatnot because people very much rave about this.
Yeah.
First, it is a great ride. It is good for what it is, for the theming of Beauty and the Beast. If you're not a big fan of Beauty and the Beast, the movie, you may not find it as appealing.
Yeah.
Now I do like Beauty and the Beast,
same.
but I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah. It's not one of my favorite Disney movies.
But the ride is cool. Their animatronics in there are very fluent, very similar to Rise of the Resistance and the fluid ones, and theirs are actually working, not in B mode.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just an okay attraction for us.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to do it though, because a few weeks later it went down for refurbishment.
Yeah. Now, in our opinion, we prefer like Rise of the Resistance as our #1 trackless attraction with Disney has made. So after that, in Fantasyland, this is another weird thing, that is where their Haunted Mansion is. They don't have a Liberty Square. They do have a New Orleans Square, which is a random spot at the front of the park, but that's not where their mansion is. Their mansion is right behind Cinderella's castle.
Yeah, it's like off to the side. It's so weird.
But what is cool is they do a Halloween overlay with Jack Skellington and all the characters from Nightmare Before Christmas, like they do in California.
Yeah, and we just found out like a week or two before we got to Tokyo.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. I was like, wow, I'm gonna see a second overlay from Nightmare Before Christmas. How exciting. And I thought it was gonna be exactly like the one in California, but no, it was completely different. And I like the one in Tokyo a lot better now.
Yeah.
The only difference is it doesn't have the music box like it does in California, which is
in the queue.
My absolute favorite.
But that actually proves that they could do the Haunted Mansion holidays at Walt Disney World because their mansion is the Walt Disney World mansion. So they could do it in Florida. Now I know they have said that they don't do that due to the fact that Walt Disney World is a destination park and they want to keep things as normal as possible. But if they wanted to, Disney, you could do it.
They totally could if they wanted to.
And it's actually, like we said, I think it's a little bit better than what California does, but I don't know if they could match it in the States.
Yeah.
But anyhow, definitely a thumbs up to catch that.
It was so cool hearing the characters speak in Japanese. This is all Japanese.
So once we were done at the Haunted Mansion, that section of Fantasyland kind of dumps into Frontierland. And at the head of Frontierland is the Grizzly Hall. And we were able to see the Country Bear Jamboree. Now what is cool about it, as most people probably already know, the Country Bear Jamboree...
Or don't know, because there's not a lot of Country Bear fans.
Country Bear Jamboree in Orlando at Magic Kingdom has closed, which means this is the only version of the show left. Now, some time ago, they had edited the version in Disney World to be compacted down. They took out some of the dialogue, took out parts of the song. What is nice about this one is that it is the original full-length version, and that really makes me happy because I am a big Country Bear Jamboree fan.
Yeah.
This show is mixed in languages, so they do speak most of the time in Japanese. The songs are mixed from Japanese into English. There are English versions only of the song, but because we know this show very well, I was literally singing with the show in English. Maybe not loud enough for the Japanese people to hear, because I didn't want to be disrespectful, but if anybody heard me, they'd be like, how did this guy know?
It was under his breath.
How would this guy know what they're saying? But love that they have the Country Bears Jamboree, and hope they don't close
And there's a lot more little details in the queue, in the waiting area before you go into the show.
Yeah, like the
little pictures.
But yeah, they also then have the trunk for the traveling band. The 5 bear rugs is tagged on there. There are awards that they won, which I don't know if that's a nod to the Country Bears movie.
It was so cute.
Yeah, really neat. Really love that. And I hope, again, they do not remove it from Tokyo so that we have at least somewhere to see the Country Bears. So after we were done with Country Bear Jamboree, it was definitely time for lunch. Now, Critter Country is right across at the entrance there, so we decided to go there. And also, it made our choice very easy because lines for food are super long.
Ridiculous.
Just like it is for attractions, just like it is for merchandise, they wait. Now, one tip and one cool thing that you can do is if you have the Tokyo Disneyland app on your phone, they actually give you wait times for popcorn carts, for restaurants, and give you an idea how long you might wait.
That's how crazy it is.
So what we did is look to see what was around us, and the restaurant, Grandma Sarah's Kitchen, had a smaller wait, one of the smallest waits, so we decided we'd go there for food. Now right next door to it, in the back of Critter Country, there was a snack for the Halloween that we wanted, and that was at Rackety Raccoon Saloon, and it had about the same amount of time wait as Grandma Sarah's. So what we did, and we didn't show it in the video, I kind of made it seem like we did them separately. We basically divided and conquered. So I stood in line for the sundae, Vanessa went inside and stood in line for the food, and we were able to merge into the dining room at Grandma Sarah's. Just a warning if you happen to want to eat there, it is very dark inside.
Super thin, because you're
in a molehill.
In a molehill. It's super cute. It's adorable.
But what's really cool is they do have an outdoor seating area that actually overlooks the flume of Splash Mountain.
Yeah, that was really
So you just see people coming down the small inside hill and they go woo right past you.
Yeah, it was
So
amazing.
we kept hearing that the whole time we ate. But they do have outside seating with light. If it happens to be sunny.
Right.
As for the food,
it was so good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's basic park food. I got the Halloween set because Halloween.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about the food in Japan is that everything comes in a set. You don't have to get it as a set, but it's very convenient. It comes with a drink and the entree and a little treat. And it's awesome. And so that's what I got.
Yeah. Not like a superior meal.
No.
But definitely really good for what it is.
Yeah, and it's hearty.
Yeah, and to be like something different than a hamburger or something like that, to have the beef with the gravy, to have the crab croquette, the omelet rice, and again, Japanese potato salad. That was really good. And then the sweet potato pie, or cake, sweet potato cakes. Really good.
Really good. Yeah.
I had really wanted to get a souvenir that had Tokyo Disneyland in the Halloween, because we were there at Halloween. And so that's why we went ahead and got the black currant and chocolate mousse.
Yeah,
because it came in that cool little souvenir cup.
Yeah.
Now just note, those are real tiny. They're about a little 8-ounce cup.
Yeah.
So they're not large mugs. They're not large coffee size mugs. And then as a second dessert, I had picked up the sundae. Now what was cool and unique about it is that it was a pumpkin soft serve with a pumpkin maple churro inside.
Yeah, but it's not pumpkin that like we're used to here.
Not
in
pumpkin
America.
spice.
It's not pumpkin spice.
It's pumpkin.
And even then, it was like Japanese pumpkin. It was like squash.
Yeah.
It was squash-ish flavor, and it was really good.
Now I got it as the twist of vanilla, so kind of cut into the flavor a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, all the parfaits in Japan have cornflakes and little things on the bottom.
Now I would assume that means it would absorb the melted liquid.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's why they do it. But yeah, it was really, really good. The churro was nice and fresh. The ice cream was refreshing, and it was really enjoyable.
Really the one Halloween treat that we knew we wanted to get, and luckily they're right next door to each other.
Yes.
So after lunch, we didn't have time to really go do an attraction because we didn't have any priority pass and the lines were super long, and the Halloween parade was going to start very soon. So we decided we were just going to hang out on Main Street, or the World Bazaar as they know it there, and we stumbled upon the Penny Arcade.
Oh my goodness.
And it's really cool for them to still have a penny arcade with all the games in it.
Penny arcade.
Now it was at 100 yen, so kind of 70 pennies right now with the exchange rate, but really neat. I love the fact that they had some of the same ones they used to have at Magic Kingdom. So they have a soccer game. That one's actually at the Magic Kingdom in the train station. Then you got to do a crane game.
Yeah.
I did like a little flipper ball game. I got to play golf. You kind of did like a miniature version of skee ball. That was really neat. You got to get your fortune if you want to do a fortune teller. Whole bunch of just old school Americana arcade games.
Yes,
and I'm glad they still have theirs.
It's really, really incredible.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen quite a few Disney Tokyo videos.
And no one's gone in there.
No one goes in there.
They go through the shops.
It was pretty busy too with a lot of kids and families, and it's so much fun.
So definitely a must do.
These, vintage arcades.
Yeah, definitely a must do if you're in the park. Take some time, go play some games. Again, it's air conditioned, so if it's hot, it's a great place to go to, and not that expensive to play. So after the penny arcade, and actually we looked around the shops a little bit, it was time for us to go to our premium seating for the Halloween parade, which was called the Spooky Boo Parade.
The Spooky Boo Parade.
Now we did cover this in our video, so go check out our Disneyland video.
Yeah.
And in that we did talk about it. But very briefly, to cover it here, we enjoyed it very much.
I miss it so much.
Lots of great
catchy
details,
song.
catchy song, really interesting concept of just bringing the cavalcade through, stopping, did a whole dance performance, and then moving along. Now that is they do that kind of here in the States, but yeah, really enjoyed that parade. Definitely worth the priority pass again to get a nice spot for that. Now at this point that the afternoon parade was over, our next scheduled item was the nighttime parade, the electrical parade, and there wasn't much time in between the two. So we kind of did what I'm calling a lightning round, where we kind of just did our best to try to see as much of Disneyland as we could before the night was up. So we started by going to a popcorn cart because the only other type of popcorn we had was caramel corn, which again, we really enjoyed that. We wanted to try a Tokyo Disneyland specific flavor.
Yeah.
So right at the front there, they had soy sauce and butter.
Yeah, and we sat down and relaxed and people watched. I'm so glad that the line wasn't long.
Right.
And it was sweet and savory. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Now, I preferred the caramel corn of the two flavors.
Same.
But it's very similar to having salt, because again, soy sauce is salty, and then you have the butter. So it's very similar to having just a salty butter popcorn, but it also had that tanginess
of the
soy sauce.
Yeah, really interesting.
Not my favorite, but we got to try this one, and we were glad. Something to note, we did have the popcorn bucket that Vanessa had purchased for a friend of hers, and so we didn't ask them to fill it. Something you can do, if you pick up a bucket at one cart and that's not the flavor you want, they'll give you a voucher to go to another cart to get your flavor you want. So because we wanted to use this voucher, we decided to use it here. And what they'll do is they'll give you 2 boxes of popcorn in replacement of what would go in a bucket.
Yeah.
So just a note, you can do that. You can go anywhere you want and get the flavor you want.
Yeah.
So after that, we made our way back to Frontierland because we had to get the Big Thunder Mountain credits.
Yeah.
And
it was
from
funny.
our memory right now, I had to actually remember, did we ride this ride? So that tells you how memorable of a Big Thunder Mountain this is.
Yeah, it's our 3rd favorite from the parks we've been to.
We think Disneyland is our favorite one.
Amazing.
And then Florida is at Walt Disney World, and then this one.
So I think it was a different layout.
I don't
remember it.
But theming on general is basically the same attraction. It just seemed to be a little bit more tame. But that seemed to be a theme. The attractions at the Tokyo Disney Resort seem to be more tame than the ones here in the States, and maybe that's just more of a safety precaution for all the little kids. So once we were done there, we wanted to go do the Enchanted Tiki Room. I wasn't aware that this was a Stitch overlay until we showed up, so obviously it's like, well, we'll give it a try.
Right. I was not the biggest fan of
Underneath
management in Disney World, but I 100 times prefer that one compared to this one. The animatronic, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, so Stitch pops up in the middle,
amazing,
where the lady does in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And he dances around and does his song, his Elvis's songs and impressions.
It's like Stitch is there.
Yeah, but other than that, it was very short.
Very short. The songs were not.
I don't even remember what songs
they were not Tiki. They were not the old songs that we know and love. It was a completely different show.
Yeah.
But
we did it.
We did it.
That way we could see Adventureland. And then on our way out of Adventureland, we kind of stumbled upon Liberty Square, basically attached to World Bazaar, and that's why I was kind of off-put.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was just a random street. It was just like the first front half of Disneyland.
We're sad because Pirates is closed.
Right, so that is where their Pirates of the Caribbean is, and it was under refurbishment at the time.
But apparently it's the same layout like the Disneyland
as Disneyland.
one.
So that's, I guess, why they had it have this land section here, but it kind of just goes from Adventureland to Main Street USA.
Yeah.
Very weird flow. Finally, we ended the night with dinner at Plasma Rays, Cosmic Rays, Plasma Rays.
It even has its own character, which I forgot the name, and I forgot to actually look for him, but apparently it's like massive and it's cute.
And we couldn't figure out what we wanted, so we decided to just get
chicken nuggets.
Chicken tenders, which for some reason came with the guacamole tortilla chips and cheese, which was
They were so weird.
So luckily we were able to get a side of French fries, and then that's where we finally could not leave Disneyland.
We didn't even go to the Toy Story Land area to get these guys. I'm glad they have them in both locations. Because it was just, I was like, oh hey, the alien guy, emoji.
Yeah, we haven't even said we got the mochi. We haven't even gotten to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are mochi balls that are filled with vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry Neapolitan.
Yeah.
And all three flavors were really good.
Super soft and super adorable.
Now you have to like mochi. If you don't like the texture and whatnot, you will not like these.
Nope.
But otherwise, we love mochi. Mochi ice cream, mochi whatever. Really good with bean paste, whatever.
Red bean paste. Atsuki bean.
So it's definitely a staple that you get at Tokyo Disneyland Resort, either at Tokyo Disney Sea over at the Toy Story area, or here in Tomorrowland. And we finally were able to get them. Finally, we entered the night with the Tokyo Electrical Parade, and this is basically an updated version of the Main Street Electrical Parade.
It was fantastic.
Love it.
Wow.
Definitely one of the best parades in the park.
One of the best ones that we've seen for the variations of the electrical parade. I obviously we have a soft spot for the old one, but even then I like Spectral Magic even more. But anyway, this was really good.
Yeah.
It had Tangled. You saw.
Really enjoyed this parade. Definitely I recommend it again. Get the premium access pass to get the seats up front, because there are people that just wait all day for all three parades, so that gives you access to be able to do everything. Alright, on to the third section we want to talk about, and that's the Disneyland Hotel.
Yes.
So, we got to stay here during our stay. We stayed one night between going to the two parks, and we decided to choose this resort basically for its location. A little bit about the theming, but not really. We wanted something, because we were going to go into Disneyland on the following day, we wanted to be right there, so we picked this hotel. So about the hotel itself, it is grand.
Huge.
The details and the decor, we wish we had a little bit more time to actually explore the hotel, but obviously we didn't. They have a couple gardens that we missed. There's a couple fountains out front that we missed.
Yeah, we saw the Fantasia Garden.
The area in the lobby was really cool, with the carousel, with the dollhouse, with all the murals up top. Apparently a video we saw, they do some type of show in the afternoon with a music box. So that's something to consider if you're staying here. Maybe try to catch that. But yeah, this resort was really pretty, really nice. Now the one thing I do want to cover is the bag services. We used it very heavily. So if you watched our video headed into Disney Sea, we were able to drop our bags off at the Welcome Center, which is right at the train station when you get off. Very convenient. That way you don't have to try to figure out what to do with your bags, put it in a locker or take it to the hotel. We'll take them. Now, and then what they will do is take it to your respective hotel. Our understanding, our thought was that it would show up directly to our room, because I had seen a video where they took it directly to their room and the person didn't have to go ask bag services. In our situation, they did not, but at least they got it to the hotel for us. And then when you show up, you just go to bag services at the front lobby, tell them your name, wait for your bag, and then what room you're headed to, and they'll deliver it for free to your room. Now, something to note, we hadn't covered it, I don't think, in any of our videos. Japan does not have a tipping culture, so please don't try to tip the bell services.
No.
They are very much grateful for doing their job.
Yeah.
Very convenient to be able to just get our bags delivered. Now the other convenience is the next morning we were able to take our bags back downstairs before we headed into Disneyland, and they held the bags for us all day for free while we were in the park. Now this is where we kind of ran into kind of a situation for us. Because we stayed in the park till almost closing, it was very late.
Yeah.
And so we thought, like here in the US parks, you normally go to your hotel, you go to bag services, they'll take your tag and they almost instantly bring it out to you within 5 to 10 minutes.
It feels like they go in order here.
Yeah, so what they do is they will take your ticket and they'll ask you to just sit in the lobby. And we waited 30 to 45 minutes just waiting, and then they just slowly came out, called your name, called everybody else, and eventually they got to us.
We don't know why they do that.
So that's just a warning. If you think that you're trying to get out like we were.
Like if you are in a rush, just know you're gonna wait.
Yeah, make sure to give yourself time. If you happen to be, let's say, going to the park and you, for some reason, have an evening flight, please give yourself time to grab that bag to get to the airport. We ended up having to call a taxi to take us to the airport hotel because we were going to take the train, and to get to where we needed to get to at the airport would take 3 trains and over an hour to get there. So because it was late, we were able. If you really would like to know, if you call a taxi, it's about $65 or $70 from there to the Haneda airport.
So think about if you've ever been to Disneyland and the airport, LAX. It's like getting a shuttle from there, basically.
So that's what we had to do. But again,
it's in your budget,
But again, just be mindful that they are not quick with their bag services of getting it back to you. They are quick to take them, but very slow to get them back. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the room itself. But first, let me talk about reservations. So we did not pay cash for this. We actually decided to use some of our DVC points that were going to expire to get the one night. It cost us 68 points of our DVC points and a $95 transaction fee. This $95 transaction fee is for any reservation you make if you're using DVC points. So I believe that you pay that one time, and if you were doing multiple days, you then just use the points. If you happen to be doing it with DVC, it is very easy to do. You just call up member services in the evening, because they're going to need to call Tokyo, so you have to call them in the nighttime, so it's daytime over in Japan. So then you just tell your member services person that what you're trying to do. Now my suggestion is make sure that you know what hotel you want and what room specifically you might want.
They have a lot of selections of room styles.
So look at the point charts to know. Now also make sure that you have backup plans. So make sure you may have at least backup rooms in the same hotel. If not, choose a separate hotel in a different room. Because what they'll do is, and it seems like when we called, he basically noted everything that we wanted. He even took down what our alternatives were, and he put us on hold. And then we just sat and waited and waited. And I think what happened is he basically calls to their reservation services, does his thing, came back to us. He wanted to confirm with us, were we okay with alternatively to have the alcove room, because we wanted just a regular standard room. We told him, yep. He said, all right, I'll be back. Put us on hold, came back, and we had the room ready to go. Had an email with confirmation, and we were all set.
So easy.
So otherwise, if you were to purchase it from Disney, you can do it from their website. I believe that's the only way you can do it. I've not heard people having problems using the website to book hotels. But again, make sure, just like the app, you have multiple types of payment. And that's in general in Japan when doing online reservations. Just have something as a backup, because you might get denied with one card and the other card will go through. So our room that we had was called a standard room with alcove, and that's just because it had that extra bed in the little alcove. The room size is large.
Oh my gosh, it was huge.
And that was even large for US standards, I feel, because you had the ability to put 3 beds across one wall, let alone the alcove. You had a whole table.
You had a dedicated bathroom just for the toilet, and then you had the tub and a shower.
Definitely the room was really nice.
Really nice.
Nice and clean.
I love
Housekeeping did a great job. They give you a lot of amenities, so you don't have to come with anything if you don't need to. And you get pajamas if you want to wear them.
And if you're able to fit in them.
But it was really neat. The one thing that we did appreciate, and again I forgot about, and I made it in the video, they do give you water in the refrigerator, which is nice to have when you come back. It's It's nice and cold and refreshing. It's also there in case you want to make tea.
Or coffee.
Or coffee or something like that. So overall, it was a great room. Again, a running theme with our videos. If you've been watching all of them, the worst part would have to be the beds.
Yeah,
they're still hard.
They're still firm, but not as bad as some of the other ones that we stayed at.
No, so it's not the big fluffy beds that you expect from a deluxe Disney resort, especially if you're paying cash for the price you're paying for this room. You're kind of getting just the type of beds you get at the value resorts at Disney World, which we haven't seen one of those for a while.
So yeah, so we can't really compare.
But
I remember them not being that comfortable. Yeah.
But just note, it just seems to be a theme that they like firm beds in Japan, and that theme continues over at Tokyo Disneyland Resort. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our breakfast. So we had breakfast at the Sherwood Garden Restaurant. One thing to note, this is the only sit-down restaurant that is open for breakfast in the hotel, but we did also find out that the lounge that's out in the lobby also does a mini buffet.
Yeah, Dreamer's Lounge.
And I believe it is first come, first serve. So if you don't happen to get a reservation for this restaurant and you're looking for a full service breakfast, that's a spot to go check out.
Yeah, it's like a smaller version of it, like the best of maybe.
But we were able to get a reservation. Now this was a big process in itself.
Wow.
So we tried to do it through the online reservation system.
Now that was hard to do.
And it basically just disappeared instantly. So we weren't able to get it. Now I was looking around online about the hotel in general, and I found a spot that stated that if you were staying at the hotel, you were almost guaranteed a reservation to the restaurant. But the only caveat was is you have to call for this reservation. And of course, we don't have a Japanese phone or a Japanese number. But the best way that I found the call was using Google Voice. This is a free Google service. If you have a Google account, you can go to voice.google and get it. And you can pay for credit to call internationally. I believe it was like 2 cents a minute for me to call. So we decided to take this adventure in calling Japan. And
I was nervous.
you have to, so Vanessa, I gave her the job to do this. And you need to pack your patience. You are talking to people that do not speak English as their native language, and you may be passed around. We were passed around 3 to 4 times to try to find a cast member that would speak English, and they finally got us to one that spoke just enough to get our reservation.
Just barely.
But the biggest thing we ran into was when they were asking for your name, they didn't seem to understand Vanessa with one of the letters.
One of the letters.
As if the letter doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so she kept repeating, she tried to give the whole thing of like this.
Like this, I tried to spell it.
And they just couldn't get it. They did their best. We thought they grabbed the concept and we were good to go. So because we had this fear that maybe our reservation didn't go through, when we checked into the hotel that night before, I asked the front desk, hey, can you check to make sure we have a reservation? She had a hard time finding the reservation, and then she's like, oh, I think this is you, is this correct? And I'm like, yes, that's correct. She's like, yes, you have a reservation in the morning. Now,
I wish she would have fixed it right then and there.
And what Vanessa's talking about is, again, we were off by 1 letter for our last name. They admitted the first letter of our last name. So when we showed up that morning to get into the restaurant, they basically said that the name that was on our key card, because that's what they used, does not match the name that's on the reservation, and they were ready to turn us away by 1 letter. And we kind of had to try to be like, are you sure this is what we think happened? And then they decide, okay, we'll let you in. So just note, make sure your reservation is set, make sure that your name is spelled correctly, and maybe if you can get to the restaurant the day before, go confirm with them, or definitely the front desk.
Good idea.
Have them to possibly change it if need be. But on to the buffet itself. So this is a buffet breakfast, and they have lots of options. Everything from Western style with pancakes, waffles, danishes, eggs, juice, fruit, as you saw, everything we had. If you are looking or into more of a Japanese traditional style, then they do have your rice, your pickled vegetables, your miso soup, fish, all the different options. And it was really neat that you have anything and everything, which should be good for anybody to eat. If you're a picky eater or not, or trying to be adventurous, you can as well. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to eat it. But overall, as I stated in our video, unfortunately the food was already cold, even being the first set of people in. Now that just shows that they were prompt and prepared and ready to go, but I think they were too prepared.
Yeah.
So it might be something that you look at to go maybe a little bit later, 30 minutes, an hour after opening, if you have the time to do so, because maybe then at that point they'll refresh the food.
Because they were refreshing the food.
But... yeah, they were doing it quickly, and maybe you'll get hotter food at that point. But again, only restaurant in the hotel, so it's really our only option, other than again at the lounge. If you don't want a sit-down restaurant, your other options in the hotel is the little convenience store that's attached to it. But they don't have a lot of options, and it's not breakfast options. So you have the onigiri or pastries or a cup of soup or something like that.
Or ramen,
And so that's your options for that. And then if you want to adventure out from your hotel, you could go to the shopping district, Xperi, and there's a McDonald's there and a Starbucks there. The Starbucks we went to by the train station, but that requires you to go a good distance. And this brings us to our last category, our final thoughts on the Tokyo Disneyland Resort. So first thing I want to talk about that didn't really fit into a category, and that's talking about the Disney Resort monorail. So as you saw when we got to the Disneyland Resort, there is a monorail. Very similar to Disneyland and Disney World.
Super cute.
But the only difference is this is a true mode of transportation, and it takes you to 4 different stops around the resort. And the 4 stops are the Resort Gateway Station, and that's where we started, at the JR station, at the shopping district, Xperi, and all that. So you have that station. The next station over is the Tokyo Disneyland Station, and this is the station that gets you to the park, as well as the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel. The next one is called Bayside Station, and this is for all the resorts that were out our window that we saw, where the Toy Story Hotel is, there's a Hilton out there, there's a Marriott.
They're good neighbors.
They're good neighbor hotels, and they have their own train station there. And then the 4th station is the Tokyo Disney Sea Station that takes you to the entrance of Tokyo Disney Sea and Hotel Miracosta. Each ride is 300 yen, or approximately $2 US at this current exchange rate. We used it twice. And that was on that first day, the day we arrived, to take it all around the Tokyo Disney Sea. And then that evening we took it back around to the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel. So our final thoughts on the parks themselves, a couple of things I wanted to cover. So we feel in general you are going to want to give yourself 2 days in each of these parks.
Yeah, for sure. So much details. So much, besides the main rides, there's shows. There's just little nooks and crannies. There's food to try. There's shopping.
And there's so many attractions. Obviously, you can't do it all in one shot. And if you had 2 days, we almost got most of the rides in Disney Sea done. So if you could get a second day, if we had a second day, we would have been able to finish that out. Tokyo Disneyland, on the other hand, it's still thrown up in the air to me. You definitely should give yourself 2. You might need a 3rd, but definitely give yourself 2 days. I know that after planning this whole vacation that it's hard to dedicate almost a whole week to just Disney themselves. I know there's people that do that. But if you're looking to experience Japan as much as possible, it was really hard to give more than 1 day to each park. And I think we did the best that we could. But yeah, definitely give yourself 2 days. The other thing I wanted to cover was the photo and video policy that they have. So if you are a vlogger, you may have heard that at Tokyo Disneyland, you are not allowed to vlog, or the process of vlogging is frowned upon. Now, we did not personally experience this. I do want to read to you what the website states. Taking photos or videos are allowed. However, may not be permitted at certain facilities or locations. For details, ask a cast member on the day of your visit. Commercial photographing, any photographing that may be inconvenience to other guests, or public transmission is not permitted. Public transmission means live streaming is not allowed. So again, we didn't run into any issues. We vlog basically the same way in all of the theme parks. We do everything we can to follow the rules of the park and try to not be very much of a disturbance to other guests. And so what we did was as best as we could, and I think it came out pretty good. So that gives you an idea for that. The last item about the parks that we want to talk about is the feel of the parks themselves. So in general at Tokyo Disneyland, because Disney Sea is a whole beast on its own, it's an awesome park. But at Tokyo Disneyland, it's kind of a mashup of Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, as if somebody visited both parks and was like, I like this, and this, and they went and just merged together.
Pretty much.
And it kind of made this like offset version mashup of the US parks.
Like it felt familiar, but it wasn't familiar. It was the strangest feeling.
Yeah.
Beautiful park.
Yeah.
Gorgeous detailing, but something was just...
It just had this weird offset
feeling.
But still glad we got to visit.
Yes.
The final thing is about the hotels. As in the US park, it is definitely an advantage to stay there. You are close to the parks. You get early entry if possible and a lot of different perks. So definitely look into it if possible.
Yeah.
And that is it. That will conclude our Japan series of videos. If you haven't been following along, down in the description box below, I will leave a link to the playlist of all our Japan travels. We started all the way down in Kyushu, at Hida, Fukuoka, worked our way all the way to Tokyo with stops in Nagoya at Ghibli Park, Osaka, Universal Studios, stayed at a traditional ryokan, and everything.
What an adventure that was. So many memories.
Yeah. So we hope you've enjoyed this Japan series. We had a great time on our trip. We are looking forward to another trip, hopefully soon. But otherwise, until next time, be safe, be kind, and adventure on. Bye! Thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed to our channel yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section below.